PSL rolls on. It's back to Lahore and we are well and truly in the business end of the competition. With the stakes rising, today the Lahore Qalandars take on the Quetta Gladiators in a rematch that's still fresh in the memory.
That's what he's done, full and straight. That'll go for another maximum. Gladiators win by 6 wickets.
These two teams met only a few days ago and it was Quetta who came out on top. Now Lahore return home looking to respond as the race to the final tightens. With the sun belting down, this 40-degree heat will test both sides. Can the Qalandars turn the tables or will the Gladiators do it again? It's all to play for here in Lahore.
Back at Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore, where we're here for Lahore Qalandars. They'll be seen in action once again. It's the home side led by Shaheen Afridi. He's done really well with his leadership in terms of his own performance. Picked up plenty of wickets, but he needs support from his side. We've moved here to Lahore. Quetta Gladiators will also be hoping to get some points on the board. Well, we're back at Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore. Really hot conditions, match number 30, and it's the home side who will be hoping to win once again at home, and they're up against Quetta Gladiators. Well, like I said, it's hot and sunny here, probably looking at 40 degrees. But talking about the heat, there's a lot of heat now in the HBL PSL because we've got sides that are exactly on 6 points and it's a race for that last spot in the playoffs. So plenty to play for and plenty to discuss here on pitch side. I've been joined by Lisa Stulekar and Amir Suhail. Lisa, really hot day here in Lahore, but we need a bit of heat from Lahore Qalandars as well and Quetta Gladiators because we're reaching now the business end of the tournament and there's not much room for a lot of errors now.
No, we are coming to the pointy end, so it's about being able to turn it on and switch it on when you need to. You mentioned both sides on 6 points, their net run rate, both of them negative. Obviously, Lahore Qalandars a little bit further down the ladder. Lahore coming back to their home ground, it's something that they've enjoyed. They won 2 out of the 3 matches here, where Quetta also, both teams haven't been able to win back-to-back games. So hopefully they can, one of the teams will.
We're talking about Lahore Qalandars, Amir. When they moved to Karachi, their form was obviously affected as well. They did really well here in home conditions. So it is an opportunity for them, considering the amount of games that they've got left in the competition, to really get points on the board and try and get in for those playoffs.
See, when you talk about Lahore playing in Karachi, most of their players, they like to dominate the bowling. And I think in Karachi overdid it. But in the last game, they got the conditions and they felt at home and their performances got better. And it was a comprehensive win for them the last time they featured in Karachi. So I think they'll be feeling much more confident here in Lahore. And we should expect better performances from them.
Quetta Gladiators as well, Lisa, when you talk about how they've fared, although they won their game against Lahore previously in Karachi, but their overall form, it's been a bit inconsistent when you look at that side. I mean, what are the problem areas that you see for them?
They're not consistent. You know, even from a bowling and batting point of view, your top 3 need to be able to be firing. I think they've got the most ducks within the competition as well. So that's not ideal, but I know we live and die by, you know, T20 cricket and them being aggressive, but they've got to get some consistency. I mean, Bevan Jacobs has been wonderful. So I think the fact that he's been good at the back end, but you need consistency right at the top of the order, and that hasn't necessarily come.
That consistency which Lisa is talking about, Amir, at the top order, you know, they've tried a few different things. Shamil Hussain was brought into that middle order, then he's been brought back at the top. And, you know, he showed promises at the start. But again, we haven't really seen those, you know, proper partnerships from them when you talk about Quetta.
Look, when you talk about Quetta Gladiators, we have seen litany of mistakes from them. You know, they tried to fix something which wasn't broken. You know, yes, their middle order was struggling to start with. Instead of just waiting for the players to respond, they started to fix it. And from there on, they kept on chasing their mistakes, and eventually they struggled to find that right combination. Even though their middle order started to work, they didn't even think about bringing Shamil. It was only the last game where they actually thought that Shamil should be opening the innings. They didn't realize for an opener it's very difficult to bat in middle order, especially when you talk about T20 format. In power plays, you have plenty of opportunity to hit the ball aerial and score boundaries. But in the middle order, it becomes difficult. Opposed to that, for a middle order batsman, it's very easy to actually open the innings and gain a lot from it. So I think Quetta Gladiators, they have played enough games. They should be now confident with whatever combination they're going to field. They should feel confident and hope for better performances.
Well, like we were discussing here, that this game is really important because when you look at that points table, we'll be able to understand how both the teams are positioned. Lahore is at 6 and Quetta is at 4. They're both on 6 points because Quetta has lost 5 of the 8 games that they've played. Lahore has lost 4 of the 7 that they've played. So plenty of work to do for both these sides, and they'd be hoping that a change in venue might just do that for them. Lisa, just on Lahore then, you spoke about Quetta being inconsistent, but when you talk about Lahore's middle order in particular, I mean, that's been a concern for them. Just look at the numbers that we've had. There's also been chopping and changing at the top. I mean, how do you sum up their journey in Karachi? And then, I mean, what can we look forward to in this one?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of their pace bowlers have been doing well. The spinners haven't necessarily had the impact. And then from a batting point of view, I think that they rely so heavily on Babar Azam to be able to perform well. When he's gone away with 2 player of the match performances. And that middle order again still hasn't. Shadab Khan hasn't really fired as well. When you look at last year when these 2 teams both met in the final, Shadab Khan was really good, but he hasn't quite fired as well this season.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. A lot of the players who have been in form last year haven't been able to deliver the goods here in this HBL PSL. Now we'll take a short breather. And when we do come back, we'll have plenty of things to discuss. But before that, before we leave you, we've got this wonderful piece on Babar Azam.
Picked up beautifully into the stands.
ये लोग कहते हैं कि मैं बहुत ज़्यादा एग्रेसिव हूँ, लेकिन मैं खुद ये समझता हूँ कि मैं इसका अपोजिट हूँ एज अ प्लेयर. वो जस्ट हो सकता है स्क्रीन पे आप लोगों को दिखता इस तरह होगा, लेकिन मैं अपनी तरफ से बड़ा काम होके खेलता हूँ और कोशिश करता हूँ कि सिचुएशन के हिसाब से खेलूँ. लेकिन जाहिर सी बात है, जब आपका एक नेचुरल स्टाइल होता है खेलने का, वो लोग देखते हैं और फिर लोग अपना एक ओपिनियन बनाते हैं, जो कि एक अच्छी चीज़ भी है. लेकिन मैं अपनी तरफ से जो है ना, मैं बड़ा काम एंड कंपोज्ड होके मतलब खेलना चाहता भी हूँ और मैं अपनी तरफ से कोशिश करता हूँ. जब आप खेलते हैं तो साथ साथ आपको आइडिया हो जाता है कि यार मुझे किस चीज़ पे ज़्यादा काम करने की ज़रूरत है. हो सकता है वो फिटनेस भी हो सकती है, आप मेंटली भी आप काम कर सकते हैं. मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि मैं हमेशा सिंपल रखूँ. जिस तरीके से मैं अगर किसी इंटरनेशनल मैच में या किसी क्लब के मैच में खेलता हूँ, तो सेम तरीके से जो मेरी तैयारी वहाँ पे होती है, वो मैं PSL के मैचेस पे भी करूँ.
Congratulations, you are our winners of HBL PSL 10. What a season it has been.
बहुत बेनिफिट होता है. देखें, आपने जब एक चीज़ को अचीव नहीं किया होता तो आपको उस तरह यकीन नहीं आता कि यार ये काम मैं कर सकता हूँ. हमारी टीम का भी यही है कि जिस तरीके से हम आखिरी जो 4 साल खेले हैं, तो 4 में से 3 ट्रॉफी हम लोग जीते हैं. तो जाहिर सी बात है, इसका बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क पड़ता है. स्पेशली एज ए टीम और प्लेयर्स का भी जो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल होता है, वो बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंट हो जाता है एक जीतने के बाद. और सेम चीज़ जो है वो लाहौर कलंदर की टीम के साथ है. आजकल जो मैं देख रहा हूँ, जो लोग क्रिकेट खेलना चाहते हैं, वो बहुत ज़्यादा कोशिश करते हैं कि शॉर्टकट्स में बिलीव करते हैं और एकदम कहते हैं कि हम खेलें. ये बेसिकली एक प्रोसेस है. हो सकता है कोई ना कोई जल्दी पहुँच जाए, लेकिन मैंने जो देखा है, जो जितना जल्दी टॉप लेवल पे पहुँचते हैं वो सरवाइव नहीं कर पाते. तो अपना जो हार्ड वर्क है वो करें, प्रोसेस को फॉलो करें, लंबा शॉर्टकट्स ना ढूंढने, अगर ट्रेनिंग भी करनी है तो आप लोग स्मार्ट ट्रेनिंग किया करें। तो मेरे ख्याल में अभी अगर जितने बच्चे क्रिकेट खेलना चाहते हैं वो क्वांटिटी की जगह अगर क्वालिटी ट्रेनिंग करें तो वो भी ज़्यादा बेहतर होगा।
Well, the home side is going to be in action today, and they are up against Quetta Gladiators, but they've got some problems that they definitely need to be fixing if they are to go ahead. Amir, just that top order of Lahore Qalandars, I mean, it kind of relied a lot on Fakhar Zaman giving them those starts. I'm talking about last year, they had Mohammad Naeem also delivering the goods. I mean, this year, not been that consistent, a bit of shuffling. Mohammad Farooq came in. I mean, how do you look at the contributions so far?
Look, it's a good inclusion. You know, Naeem was completely off the boil, and he needed to be replaced. And it's a good thing. The replacement started to work fine for them. But talking about Naeem, the reason why he was able to perform so well during the last edition of HBL, when you are a non-entity, it's hard to work out your game. But now every team knows what's his game, and they come out with the right plan, and that's why he's struggling. Now, to be one step ahead of the opposition, he has to bring some change in his batting.
What about Fakhar Zaman then, Lisa, when you talk about him? Of course, we haven't really seen the big numbers when it comes to which you normally associate with Fakhar Zaman.
I think it's a combination, isn't it, of the fact that sometimes someone like Fakhar Zaman needs people around him as well to be going well, and then when it's solely based on him, he feels the pressure. It's almost like if there's a low over the previous one from his partner, he wants to try and catch it up. But he needs to give himself just a little bit more time out there, because when he does, he can play the innings like he did in the last game. So it's important that he does take that time and doesn't try and bat for his partner as well.
Is that the way to go then, Amir, when you are struggling and you aren't able to get runs on the board in difficult conditions, however way you want to look at it? I mean, how do you get back into the business and how do you get back to scoring runs? Go
back to the basics. That is the only answer. Nothing else, nothing more.
Kept it simple there, then go back to the basics. It sounds wonderful, but as we know, easier said than done. But again, that's what we need from Lahore Qalandars if they are to do well. Now, Lahore Qalandars, one thing that has worked for them is their pace bowling. Shaheen Afridi has been brilliant, picked up a lot of wickets, and he's had a good partner in the form of Haris Rauf, who spoke earlier to Jess Crow.
Well, here I have Haris Rauf alongside me. Haris, you've seen excellent success throughout this entire competition so far, taking 3 wickets last match as well. How do you plan to capitalise on that success?
Yeah, when you take a wicket in the middle overs, and especially is my role to take a wicket for the team all the time, and especially when you take a wicket on a set batsman. So as a player, give a confidence. So that's why, yeah.
And a big win for the side last match. What will be key to continuing that consistency today?
Yeah, look, we win the game last, and before we sit together and think about it, where we mistake in the last 3 games, and so now just we take the get momentum in the same game today, and whatever who is the opponent side.
Great stuff. And let's just touch on playing under Shaheen as captain, someone you played a lot of cricket with. But how does that familiarity of each other's games play to your strengths?
Obviously, we played together for this franchise last 8 years, and we know together, we know each other, and especially in the ground, we will pass the messages on what the conditions demand on that time. So that's a good key for us.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much. All the best for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, he's been a match winner in the past for Lahore Qalandars. Every time they've required wickets in the middle, it's been Haris Rauf. But up front, they've got an able leader and bowler in the form of Shaheen Afridi, Lisa, who, regardless of the conditions, whether they've been playing in Karachi or Lahore, he's been able to get wickets up front.
I think that's the standout for the Qalandars. What, 9 wickets in the power play, which is pretty impressive, and I think just over .6 economy rate as well. So he's not leaking a lot of runs and he's picking up wickets. I think the fact that he's been able to swing the ball back into the right-handers, there was an issue at the start of last PSL. He wasn't able to. Then halfway through, he was able to find that swing. And ever since then, he has been so potent.
He's been absolutely potent, but...
one area he really needs to improve upon, Shaheen Afridi, in my opinion, those referrals. Every time he hits the pads, he thinks the batter is out. That's where he has to concentrate more.
What about Haris Rauf? Where does he need to concentrate? Because he's also integral to this bowling lineup.
Look, we have spoken about Haris Rauf a lot. He's got a tendency of slanting the ball down the leg side. And he's been scored off many a times. But as long as he's picking up wickets, if he picks you 2 wickets and concede 40 runs, as a captain, you have to take it. Wickets in the middle overs are very important to keep the pressure.
Well, I think also he's going to enjoy coming back here, this pitch. It looks like there's a lot more grass, so there's going to be a lot more pace. So when he does go to his slower balls, he's actually going to be really effective. Whereas that wasn't necessarily the case in Karachi. It was a lot harder for the pace bowlers to really have an impact.
And looking at these conditions, Amir, do you think they're going to favour the Lahore fast bowlers as opposed to what we saw in Karachi?
Look, if pitches are true, there is consistent bounce and pace, it's not only bowler's friend. You know, it can be friends of the batters as well, because when you talk about batting, once as a batter you start to hit the ball on the up, you know, you gain a lot of confidence and you create a lot of pressure on the bowlers. And I think what we have seen so far here at Gaddafi Stadium, batters have batted with a lot of freedom, and bowlers, they actually had to resort to the slow ones and other varieties to be able to keep a check on the batters.
Talking about slower ones, I think when we talk about conditions, there's been a change in conditions. Karachi's been very different to Lahore, but where should the bowlers be bowling here when you're talking about lengths and mixing it up? Let's find out from the experts on Expert Advice. Amir, just on that, you know, you were talking about mixing it up and having a few slower ones. What is the correct length then? When you compare this venue to Karachi, I mean, how do the bowlers adjust playing here?
You cannot generalize it. Because, you know, when you talk about different bowlers, Shaheen Afridi, you can't ask him to bowl back of the length. You can't ask Haris Rauf to bowl back of the length. It depends on the bowler's ability. If the bowler has got the height and all that, you can urge him to bowl back of the length. Otherwise, bowlers, they need to derive their own formula to be able to excel in these conditions. I can advise generically, but, you know, it has to be focused on the bowlers, his strength and other things.
Lisa, do you agree with the thoughts of Amir?
A little bit. I think if they can swing the ball, they'll go fuller. But I think as soon as the ball doesn't move, you've got to go back of a length. You've got to hit the top of the stump. So you do that, then you give yourself every opportunity.
And we know for a fact that Shaheen will be definitely trying that. We've seen that with him in the power play as well. But yeah, that was the expert advice for you. Now you heard it from the experts. We are getting close to the toss and also having a better look at the conditions. We'll take a short break here on pitch side and we'll be back with more, so don't go anywhere. We're back on pitch side, and I've been joined by Martin Guptill and Mark Butcher with the huge smile on his face. Got the protection, got the P cap as well, ready for this amazing hot session that we have here on pitch side. But what we do need, Guppy, is some heat from Quetta Gladiators as well on the field today. They need to up their game. In particular, when you talk about that middle order, Riley Russo, how do you sum up his tournament? Mohammad Hassan Nawaz has also been good for them, but where do you think the problems have been?
I think they sort of start at the top, don't they? They've been really hit and miss. I think Shamil had a really, really good start to the tournament. He hit the ball beautifully, got them off to an absolute flying start. Scored two 50s early on, back to back, and then since then it's been a little bit lean. He got set out for a game. He's come back into the middle order, so there's been no real consistency at the top. So I think the onus is on himself and Sol Shakil to get them off to a great start, and then let Riley Russo and Hassan Nawaz come in and do their thing, which, to be fair, they have. In the last game, they put on 114 and 69 balls. Great partnership to get them over the line in that run chase. And then who can forget that brilliant partnership they had last year as well, 134 off 61. But these two here, when they're on, they're really on. And they just need to find a bit of consistency and have some more striking like they have here. I mean, Riley Russo, when he's on, I was talking to Butch yourself earlier, when he's on, he's really on, but when he's off, he just looks a little bit all at sea at the moment.
Yeah, it can happen. I've seen him go through it in various tournaments. Yeah, we have all been there. But you're right, his lean spells tend to be very, very lean. So, look, he played brilliantly, got that 60 not out in the last victory. Hopefully that'll kick him on for the rest of the tournament because the Gladiators desperately need the points today.
Hassan Nawaz is the one guy, though, who's been in brilliant form at that number 4 spot. You know, he had a great last year as well. Butch, you were here at that time and you saw a bit of him. And for him to continue that, at least it augurs, at least is one positive for Quetta Gladiators.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a high quality player. Really wonderful sort of technique, unbelievable power as well to go along with that. Plays spin and pace equally well. And, he's the sort of player that could find himself playing international cricket for a very long period of time, given the opportunity. I just think he's very, very talented and perhaps a little underrated.
I mean, talk about the spinners then, Usman Tariq, Abrar Ahmed. Karachi was good for the spinners. That's what we saw. Usman Tariq also picking up wickets and, with all the mystery that he has with his action and pause. There's a lot going on with Usman Tariq, but the fact that he can pick up wickets for them, that definitely is something that would help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you have someone like Abrar at the other end, I mean, he went for 14 off his 4 overs in that same game, but Usman Tariq, he was the one who reaped the rewards of some really tight bowling against the Qalandars in Karachi. So if those two can put them at bay today, especially if they get off to a flying start, it's only going to be good for the Quetta Gladiators.
Talking about their fast bowlers, because I know that the conditions were completely different in Karachi, but Alzari Joseph, Jahandad Khan need some contributions from them. We've seen in Lahore that in particular with Lahore Qalandars, Shaheen Afridi and Haris Rauf have been able to pick up wickets. Yeah. They will need some help. The spinners for Quetta will need help from their fast bowlers.
For sure. I mean, this is the place where the quick bowlers perhaps come into their own a little bit more than they did in Karachi. I guess the good news for them is both Alzari and Jahandad both had decent runs out against Lahore Qalandars the last time, so that'll be a good memory for them. One of the things I've noticed around a lot of the pace bowling here, with the exception of somebody like Peter Siddle a couple of nights ago, was a lack of ability to control just a really good stop ball, hard into length, over the top of off stump. So often there are so many different deliveries being bowled, batters putting them under pressure, not being able to go back to something that they know works, and that causes you a big, big problem. So a little bit more consistency perhaps, and from Alzari Joseph, a bit more aggression in the power play. Go out there and look to really ruffle some feathers with some pace.
All right, then consistency is what we require from Alzari Joseph and perhaps contributions from Jahandad Khan as well. Now, these are different conditions as we know from Karachi, but we are ready with the toss as well. It's over to Ramiz Raja, who is out there with the 2 captains.
It is pretty warm here in Lahore as we get ready for the exchange crypto toss. It's the exchange on crypto exchange toss. We've got the guy who's going to hand over the coin to the match referee. Sohail Idris is going to take the coin from the toss rep. Shaheen to flip it and Saud to call.
Tails.
Tails is the call. It's come down as head. क्या करेंगे शाहीन और क्यों करेंगे?
बैटिंग करेंगे पहले।
ये पिच जो लग रही है रन से भरी हुई लग रही है, क्या आपको अच्छा करना है आज यहाँ पे एक अच्छी शुरुआत के लिए?
मेरा स्टार्ट ही ज़रूरी होता है, बॉलिंग हो या बैटिंग हो। लास्ट गेम में अच्छा स्टार्ट हमें ओपनर्स ने दिया था, बल्कि मिडिल ऑर्डर्स का भी अच्छा चला था, तो होपफुल ये अच्छा स्टार्ट देंगे और हम जैसे पिछला मैच खेले थे वैसे ही खेलें।
आपकी परफॉर्मेंस आउटस्टैंडिंग है बॉल के साथ, आप लीड कर रहे हैं इस पैक को बॉल के साथ। यहाँ पे फ्रॉम बॉलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू क्या चीज़ करने की ज़रूरत है?
अच्छे एरिया पे बॉल करना चाहिए ऐसे विकेटों पे, तो कोशिश मेरी यही होती है कि अच्छे एरिया पे बॉल करूँ, अर्ली ऑन जो मेरा काम है विकेट लूँ, और इंशाल्लाह वैसे ही करेंगे।
फारूक, आपने नया एक टैलेंट इंट्रोड्यूस कराया पिछले मैच में एज एन ओपनर, क्या तासुरात हैं आपके?
बिल्कुल, फारूक एक ज़बरदस्त टैलेंट है और होपफुल ये टैलेंट पाकिस्तान के काम आएगा। लाहौर कलंदर की हमेशा से ये खूबसूरती है कि PDB के थ्रू अच्छे प्लेयर्स आते हैं और वो पाकिस्तान और लाहौर कलंदर को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं।
कोई टीम चेंजेस?
एक चेंज है, आसिफ अली की जगह उबैद वापस आए।
बेस्ट ऑफ लक।
थैंक यू।
सर, तो आपका इम्तहान शुरू होगा बॉल के साथ, क्या ख्यालात हैं?
हाँ बिल्कुल, मेरा भी यही प्लान था। हमें बॉलिंग का पहले सोचा था कि जो भी टारगेट पे उनको आउट करते हैं फिर इंशाल्लाह इसको चेस करेंगे।
बॉलिंग में क्या चीज़ ठीक होने वाली है, क्योंकि आपके पास 2 एस स्पिनर्स हैं, मगर चले उनको तो नलिफाई किया हुआ है, उनके खिलाफ ध्यान से लोग खेल रहे हैं, बट पेस में भी वैसी जान नहीं है जो कि होनी चाहिए।
हाँ बिल्कुल, देखें अगर आपको अपनी स्ट्रेंथ पे, अपनी बेसिक्स पे चीज़ों को हिट नहीं करेंगे तो फिर सामने क्वालिटी बैटर्स हैं वो आपको रन्स बनाएंगे, लेकिन जो हो गया वो लास्ट मैच में ख़त्म हो गया। हमारे पास नया दिन है, नई अपॉर्चुनिटी है इस टीम को जल्द से जल्द आउट करने की।
कितने रन्स पे रोकना चाहेंगे?
एनीथिंग अराउंड 180 190 मेरे ख्याल से हमें रोकनी चाहिए।
टीम चेंजेस?
जी बिल्कुल, 3 चेंज है। नाफे आज वापसी आ गए हमारी टीम में, ब्रैड हम्पटन अपना पहला मैच खेल रहे हैं और साथ खलील भी वापस आए।
Best of luck, South.
Thanks.
Right, so the news from the toss is that Lahore Qalandars have won the toss and will have a go with the bat first.
Qalandars opting to bat first, and this toss has been brought to you by Exchange On. Remember, you can register and you get a chance to win that golden coin. Kapi, it seems like Lahore prefers batting first, putting on runs on the board, but it's important for them to do that first because that's where they've been struggling.
Yeah, 100%, and on a new wicket, it looks fresh. I was out there earlier, and it looks to be a really evenly grassed wicket. So there could be a bit of pace and bounce for the bowlers, but in saying that, it could be a very good batting wicket as well. So they'll look at Faka. He is their main man at the top of the order to be able to get them off to a good start and control what happens through that innings, so they get a big total on the board.
Conditions, again, when we talk about them, different from Karachi, even for the bowlers here. I mean, of course, we'll be having a closer look at that as well. But just in terms of the approach, and I'm talking about the bowlers here in particular for Lahore Qalandars, they put up runs on the board. What are we looking at from them, from the bowlers, fast bowlers and the spinners?
Well, I mean, the usual thing as far as Shaheen Afridi is concerned, that's going to be wickets in the power play. He's got, 9 of them already. So he will look to be very, very aggressive. I think Daniel Sams has been a little bit disappointing for them so far, so perhaps he needs to sharpen things up a tad. But otherwise, they've struggled to take wickets with spin, haven't they? And thankfully, I think on this surface, the spin side of things might not be quite so important. So, those pace bowlers picking up wickets in the power play, you put 180 plus on the board. I mean, there's a potential to get 200 out there in these sort of conditions, as they did in their previous game against the Pindies. Anytime you do that, it gives all of the bowlers a lot to work with in terms of being able to build pressure and picking up wickets doing that.
Also a test of leadership for South Shakil because, they made it to the finals last year, Quetta Gladiators, but just in terms of his contribution with the bat or just leadership, when you talk about reaching this stage of the tournament, Guppy, I mean, how important is that going to be?
I think you need him to step up. He is your captain, he's one of your leaders in the side, and I was out there earlier, as I said, he was actually in the nets for about 30 to 40 minutes, so he's searching for form. He's not keeping things simple. I think he's just really going out there and trying to find it in the middle, which is a really, really tough place to be as a batsman. You want to be able to go in there with confidence that you are going to score runs. And look, for him, he just needs to bring it back to keeping it to his game, his simple way of batting. Go out there and just play his shots and not worry about going after the big shots. And then if he can do that and create a partnership with Shamil at the top of the order, things can flow from there.
When we talk about the conditions here, it's extremely hot. The sun is out. And, of course, it's a change in venue as well. Quetta Gladiators will be hoping to make some early inroads. But is there something in it for the fast bowlers or the spinners? Let's find out from Jess Crow, who's with Lisa Stoleka.
Well, we're back in Lahore and back in the heat. It's a blistering 38 degrees here today with lows of 24, and humidity is also at an all-time low for these day games, just 13%, so it's an absolute scorcher here today. Now, there is a breeze, an attempt to keep us cool. Can't say it's contributing too much to that temperature, so as I say, it's set to be an absolute cracker of a match here today. But before all that begins, for more information on the surface, it's Lisa Stoleka.
Well, one thing I can tell you about this pitch, and I'm speaking to the head curator, it hasn't been used since the Champions Trophy 14 months ago. 2 games were played on it, over 300 runs were scored. And as I take a closer look, there is a good even cover of grass, live grass as well. So I feel like the fast bowlers are going to like it, but I also think the batters are going to like it too. We talked about Karachi being about 160. The average score here, first innings, is 180. I actually think it's over 200, potentially 220. I'm also surprised that Shaheen Afridi decided to bat first, because out of the 3 games that were played here before in day games, it was actually the team chasing that one twice. So I actually think it's an opportunity for Lahore Qalandars to get a score over that 220 mark to be able to give their bowlers a chance. But pace, bounce, but also a run feast.
We love a bit of balance between bat and ball. Both when you talk about these conditions out here, you heard it from Lisa as well. Something in it for the bowlers up front, or how are we looking at it?
Well, the heat really is going to be a massive factor, I think, for the bowlers. I doubt we'll see the ball swing. It's too hot and too dry for that, you would imagine. And if there is anything off the live grass, it'll only last for a very short period of time, because the ball will get wrecked pretty soon. So whoever's taking that first over has got quite a big responsibility to try and pick up a couple of early wickets. And look, fast outfield, red hot in the outfield. It's going to be tough day for both fielding teams. So the responsibility really is on the batters to go out there and put big runs on the board and what looks like a good service.
And also a great opportunity for Fakhar Zaman, when you talk about the conditions here, to really get going, because they have opted to bat first. Ideal opportunity to get back amongst the runs for Fakhar.
Yeah, 100%. He's back home, back in familiar conditions for him, and he does dominate here as well. I've seen him play some outstanding innings on this wicket here. So they want him to get off to a flyer. He is such a match winner when he's on and when he's going. So if he can do that, create some partnerships, watch out.
Well, they need to be off to a flyer. They'd be hoping that they'd be off to a flyer, because Qalandars has opted to bat first. We'll take a short breather here on pitch side, and when we are back, we'll have a closer look at the teams. Qalandars opting to bat first. While he's been here at the HBL PSL, might be losing him. We're not really sure, because he might have to head back for national duty, but he's been good.
Yeah, I know for a fact that he's leaving. He's got to go play T20s for New Zealand and Bangladesh. So he's been really impressive. He's first time really playing in the subcontinent for him. So he's adapted well. Had a tough start out first ball that he faced in the tournament, but since then he's come in. He's played with power. He's learning how to play spin over in these conditions, which is really pleasing for him heading to Bangladesh tomorrow. So look out for him to want to finish on a high and look to hit some massive sixes, because he is a very, very strong boy.
Alzari Joseph, then, you know, we spoke about him, how he needs to definitely be delivering the goods for Quetta Gladiators, and there's a good matchup there, because he's up against Fakhar Zaman.
Yeah, but he hasn't taken the first over. He sort of bowled back end of the power play when batters have found themselves set. So it'd be a real good challenge, I think, for him against somebody like Fakhar and the young Mohammed Farouk, the under-23 player who played so brilliantly against the Pindies just the other day. Those two got them off to a real flyer. Absolutely imperative, I feel, in these conditions that you stop that from happening. So I think perhaps give Alzari he's not wildly keen on bowling with the brand new ball, but I'd be saying to him, listen, if you're going to get anything out of this service, it needs to be sooner rather than later. So try and set the tone as the overseas fast bowler right from the off.
All right, Fakhar Zaman, we've spoken a lot about him, but even Abdullah Shafiq at 3, when you talk about contributions, he's not had the best of HBL PSL. And when you get into the business end of the tournament, you need your key players to be contributing, Guppy.
And he is one of those key players for them. You know, their top order hasn't been quite on song this tournament. So if they do lose an early wicket and he comes in, they need him to step up. They need him to hold the innings together. I think he is a very class player. I've seen him play some really, really good innings in his career. So they'll be looking at him, you know, if they do get off to a flyer, to be able to keep that going. And if not, then to soak up a little bit of pressure and turn that momentum towards the Qalandars' way.
Lots of high scoring games that we saw in Karachi. First innings, that's what we saw, over 200. But what are we looking at here? Move to Lahore, different conditions altogether, Butch.
Yeah, different, but I think perhaps even better for run scoring. I think that's my general take on it here. Memory serves over the last few years, you know, balls flying out the park at regular basis, playing at Lahore in a way that they don't necessarily always do in Karachi. So the bowlers will have their work cut out for them. Red hot, nasty day to be out there in the field. Batting paradise.
Batting power, you heard it. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your thoughts, Guppy and Butch. And you heard it from Butch that batters can make the most of it. It's an opportunity for Lahore Qalandars to score some runs. See you guys shortly after this break.